All right. Well, I am Rachel Berg, and I am with Sandbox Consulting Group. And today we're going to have a little Zoom call, little conference call, talking a little bit about um, some of the tools we use in the sandbox for team building. And with me today is Shonda Kolhoff.
Hi, so nice to be here. It's been such a joy to work with Dawn's team in the Culture Catalyst workshop, which we did online and virtually. And yeah, so eager to hear what Dawn thought of that experience. So thank you for being with us, Dawn.
You're so welcome. I'm excited to be here as well. I'm Dawn Killenberg. I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Internship and Career Development at Agnes Scott College. And my team of 7 participated in the Sandbox um, experience a couple of months ago. And it was really a great learning experience. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Tell us a
Excellent.
little bit about the Catalyst portal. It's a brand new online tool that is making on-demand communication skills and talent development available like in the palm of your hand. Tell us a little bit about how you found the Catalyst and the assessments that are available there and how your team has maybe been using it.
Yeah, would love to. We actually use a lot of assessments with our students. So we had prior experience with strengths-based assessments and skills-based assessments, but this was the first time that we had gotten to use this kind of extensive communication styles assessment. And so for us, it was, I think, very eye-opening in terms of explaining a lot of how we communicate with one another, how we get things done. We are a very busy office. We have over 200 events a year. We work with hundreds of students with thousands of touches. And so the ability to communicate clearly with each other, but also to do it in a way that keeps everybody cool and calm under timeline and budget pressures is sometimes a challenge. So what this allowed us to do was everybody took the assessment ahead of time, and we were able to really sit back and take the time to listen and hear what motivates the communication styles of other people. That probably was one of the biggest eye openers. But also to look at how the team engages with one another, because we had several people who were in the S steadiness quartile, a couple of people who were in the conscientiousness quartile, and then I was the sole influencer with one of my teammates kind of rolling into influence at times. And then we also were able to talk about the fact that our team doesn't have anybody in the D quartile. And so, and we could really see and come up with some great examples of when that is a challenge for us. So we loved that it was something that was quite easy to apply, but at the same time opened up new learnings for us between each other. So that was a great piece of it. The other thing I would say is that it helped us develop a common language. So even the two people who are both in that conscientiousness quartile, sometimes they will work together, and what one is conscientious about may not be what the other, and we laugh, they now talk about their C. My C is coming out. I think those in the S quartile, it gave them a little bit more backbone's probably not the right word, gave them some evidence-based ways to say to the C's, hey, hold on, I'm going there, but give me a minute. And so I think all around it gave all of us new language to use with one another, especially as we are the kind of team that we have to step in for each other a lot. We do a lot of projects as, maybe 2 people will be assigned to a project just for purposes of backup and that sort of thing. So it was very helpful, I think, reminding everybody that you can't just, you have to really think about what was somebody's intent. What were they trying to do? What were they trying to accomplish? And on the flip side, yes, my intent may have been one thing, but my impact or the perception of me may be something totally different. And so just helping people have insight to that was really helpful. The other thing is that the way that you guys facilitated it was well done. You gave us quick overviews, but then by putting people into breakout rooms, either with people like them or different from them, and being able not just to talk about the C or the S at first glance, but to really get beneath it. The portal does a great job of showing whether it's structure, privacy, and being not private. Those various scales of how people engage with one another, I think people really found those incredibly helpful as well. So it wasn't a tool that's just about your profile. You actually could see how different people scored on those continuums. And that was, as a manager, that was really helpful because now I have a visual in my head. Okay, if I was in the middle on a particular continuum and I have a team member who's maybe at the 25% mark, and then I might have had somebody who was all the way over at the edge, then as I'm thinking about how I relay news, how I tailor my communication style with different people, I've got a visual in my head that's easy for me to remember of when it comes to structure, when it comes to privacy and who's comfortable sharing what. Those kinds of things. That was a really helpful piece of that portal that I can go back to, but I also feel like it made it easy for me to grasp it, remember it, refer back to it.
It's so interesting you bring up management. And of course, Agnes Scott is on the forefront of women's leadership because learning how to manage people is a really important quality that a lot of times some leaders haven't even developed when they're thrust into it, right? So learning how to lead management is one of the most important components, and being able to have some tools like the portal, I think is really helpful. Like you said, the visuals,
Yeah.
because you can read things, you can hear about things, but being able to see things, I think, is a really helpful aspect of it.
People have estimate that as much as 2/3 of first impressions are visual. We just, as people, we absorb so much more visually. So I think that the way that the portal was laid out, also, even in terms of digesting what was about you, the fact that it had a visual element was really important. Even the whole where your marble is on the disc chart and that visual of the marble rolling was nice because it also the visual of a marble rolling also makes you realize that you're never stopped in one place for too long. Momentum can push you one way or another. And so I think that was also just helpful in terms of nobody wants to be boxed into a specific profile. And so I think that made it feel richer in terms of talking about somebody.
Excellent. Well, we love getting our sandbox tools into the hands of people that will actually play with them and use them to build things and develop things. And certainly, with 200 events a year, that's just staggering. To be able to have something that might make that smoother is really quite terrific. Shonda, do you have any other questions for Dawn as we kind of complete here?
Yeah, just one last question, Dawn. If you can see going forward, I know you've talked about the portal being visual and the power of that and how it stayed in your memory. How have some of your team members talked to you about it now after the fact, or how are they using it at this time?
They definitely talk about their own profile and use it when they're trying to explain to the rest of the team why they're laying out a process the way they are. They'll use it, remember I'm an S, or remember I'm a C. This is important to me. So I think in some ways, and this goes back to as a women's college and knowing that women, we oftentimes feel that we need to justify why we're asking for something a certain way or why we're managing a project the way we are. And so I think this gives some language and gives some rationale for people that they're not saying, I'm super organized, I'm organized to the nth degree and my way or the highway, but they can say, I have a high need, this project in my mind requires a high level of conscientiousness and attention to detail. And so therefore I have laid it out this way. Whereas another project, somebody else might take it from a different point of view. So I think anytime that we can help somebody else have a better insight into what motivates us is a good thing, and vice versa. So I think that they look back on it as something that was very defining for us as a team. And actually, we just hired a new person who, before she got to me in the interview process, my team had already told her about the experience with Sandbox. So she was eager to find out what her DISC profile is and how she fits into the portal of our team and the avatars. So that was pretty exciting that they were chatting about that with somebody who was considering joining the team.
It's interesting because the portal was actually developed for this purpose, because even before the pandemic, teams and people being on teams and more than one team at a time, and people coming on and off of teams with um, uh, such a fast clip, the capacity to bond was necessary in order to deliver 200 events, for example. You
Yeah.
actually have to have a pretty cohesive team, and it was becoming harder and harder with all that transient. So this portal allows people, we can get her assessment, get her in there with her avatar really quickly so that she gets spun up, and then you can get to the next event instead of saying, well, we've got to get to know her for the next 6 months and then next year maybe we can enter. No, we don't have time for that now.
Right.
So being able to have this portal where you can go on your phone at home, in between lunch hour, whatever, it just makes it accessible when you need it, as
Right.
opposed to I have to go to a workshop at this time to get the information.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
well, excellent. Well, thank you for
Okay.
your time again today. And we love Agnes Scott, so look forward to being on campus soon.
Yes. We look forward to having you.
Thanks.